YouTube. I'm about to torture myself again. Candy cane sentiment flavored chapstick. Do y'all enjoy these videos as much as I do? Because I'm just like, why do I torture myself with this? Hello, if you're new here, my name is Dion. I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy, just knowing it's okay to be your authentic self, regardless of how you are. Just owning it and just rocking it. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. Try not to feel like as you're watching beauty related content that you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or a certain technique because that's what they're telling you. I'm here to tell you, wear what you want to with and put it on with whatever tool you want to get your makeup on in a way that you're satisfied with it. So do what you want to do. You're good and grown if you're over here watching my channel. The bottom line here at the Crazy Troll Nation is self-acceptance and self-love. Embracing your natural features. Enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never feeling like you have to. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on. I was just touching to see if my foundation was dry. I only have one primer and foundation, and it is dried down. So this video, you see from the title, I know I'm loud because I'm just like, why do I always do this? I don't know. It's torturous, but it's also a little hilarious because it's like, why do I always do this? And then I still keep doing it. So I'm going to show you all the palettes I used for the month of March 2024. I know I don't do ranking. I do top tier, mid tier, bottom tier. And that's even challenging too because I only keep what I like. So I like everything here. So it's more of what do I like versus what do I love? You know what I'm saying? So that's where the tiers come in, because for me to rank is just too much anxiety, even though it's not real, because it's just ranking. And it can change day by day according to just however I'm feeling. So what I used this month was, in no particular order, we used Pat McGrath from the Bijou Brilliance collection, Bronze Ecstasy. We used this in April, and that's what this is April. We used this in March. And I actually liked it. That's why I still have it. I thought I wasn't because it looked dusty to me. And I don't know if it was just this shade here or not, but it looked dusty to me. And this looks like a basic shade in most of her Quince palettes. And so I was like, but I got it because I am going to be doing a giveaway, and this is going to be one of the Quince. And so I'm like, at least let me try it so I can let y'all know what I think about it. And I actually do really like it. So we did use this in March. We did a Natasha Denona series where we used the 3 new Quince that I purchased, and this one is the mini pastel palette. This is so much fun. This is so cute, and I purchased this and the mini Zendo with the intent, of course, to try them on their own, but then also with the intent of I compare these with the Xenon, the mini Xenon palette. But I did like the looks I did with these just on their own. And it is in one video where I used all 3 of these. The third one that I purchased was the Mini Star. And I had Mini Star before, and I gave it away because I purchased the full-size Star palette, which all 5 of these shades are in here. But then I realized I didn't really like the larger Star palette. And so I, yeah, it was a sale. Yeah, these were all on sale. And so I went ahead and purchased the Mini Star, and I do really like it. This shade right here is curious because it has like a green undertone to it, and it really plays off nice against this one, which has a shift to it. So you see it's green, but then it's that, you know, that typical, you know, green burgundy shift. But this is a really cute palette. I do, excuse me for that loud snap, I do really enjoy it. We also used I'm seeing 2 MAC palettes, don't know if it's more. This is Sparkle Storm from MAC. This was limited edition, so it's no longer available. This palette right here, this shade right here, actually all these shades right here, this is a beautiful palette. So we used this month. And like, should I put these in, try to tier them right now. And we used the MAC color, connecting color, excuse me, Hi-Fi. Because when I use palettes, if they're new, I'm going to run through it. It's easy to run through Quince. It's only 5 shades, and usually we put them all on. But for other looks I think about what palette have I not used recently, and this was one I had not used recently, and so we used this month. I don't even remember what the look was that I did, but I'm sure I liked it. Oh, I showed you Sparkle Storm already. We did another series. Where's the other one at? It's at the bottom. Using Natasha Denona palettes, and I took them away with me to Academy. I was on faculty for Academy, and we used Biba twice in that video because I hadn't used this in a while either. I really do love Biba. I just don't use it that often, and I don't know why. And now that I'm sitting here processing it, so thank you for being here with me, because when I'm talking, my brain is trying to figure stuff out. And I think it's because it is just a neutral palette, because I like dark, I like smoky, I like bold. Sometimes I do like colorful bold, I like vampy, I like messy grunge, and this is none of that. But this is a solid palette if you just want a neutral palette. This has everything in there you can use. And so as I said, we did do 2 looks with this palette. Very easy to use. I do love her creamy matte and cream to powder formula. I know that some people don't. It's just a preference thing. So if you don't like Natasha Denona formulas, this is absolutely okay. Like, seriously. So we did use this twice last month in that one video. We also used my Glam Retro Glam palette. Some of these shades are original to Glam, and some of these are Retro Glam shadows. And so we did use this for a look. It was really nice, very simple, very easy. The formula just works for me. And we also used the Yucca palette, or Yucca, however you pronounce it. Love the look I did with this. We did a really easy, simple look. When I'm away, I realize I do more simple looks, maybe just like 3 shadows or 4 versus like 7 or 8. But I was really glad to get back to that because I haven't used it in a long time. We used Pat McGrath's Subliminal in March. This is my all-time favorite. Yeah, I don't want to lie to you. This is this is my #1 Pat McGrath mothership, because it surprised me. I talked about that in other videos, so we're not going to get into it here. But this, I really love this palette. It took me a long time to buy it because it looks ashy and dusty, and it looks cool tone, but it pulls neutral on me. And I really can say I love every single look I've done with this palette right out the gate, and that's why it will be my favorite. And so I really do like it. Very easy to use, not a lot of mess like some of the other motherships. And so that one is the keeper. Lethal Cosmetics BYOP. 6 of these shadows are from Wildflower, and the other 6 are from the mystery bag. And so we used this. I took this away with me to my little cousin's cheerleading competition because her team colors are a hot pink, white, and black. And so I took her for this, and I used it. And I did use this on, I think, the 2nd day. Or was it the 3rd day? The 3rd day. So I used this the 2nd day, used this one the 3rd day along with this one, and this matches the shirt. This is the exact color as the shirt, and the shirt is the team color. So this was really great. And so I used this, and I took it because of Thorn. That's that hot pink shade, which is UV reactive. I don't have a black light, but anyway, it's still gorgeous. From Nomad Cosmetics, they gifted me the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette. And this is what it looks like. I really like all the looks I did. The second one, the all green one, that would be my least favorite, but only because it was extremely monochromatic. We did looks by rows. The first look was these 2, actually they're columns. The first look was these 2 columns. The second look was these 2. So yeah, a whole lot of greens and only 1 shimmer. And the third look was these 2 columns minus this shade, because this one is not eye safe. It's not intended for use around the eye area. And I know people do it. I have sensitive skin, sensitive lids. So I'm not able to use pressed pigments on my eyelids. And so if you're wondering, like, why would they put that in there? And that's why they have to do the warning if they're here in the United States. Over in the EU, pressed pigments are considered eye safe. So it depends on where the product is coming from. And since this is coming from in the United States, that's why they put the warning. But if you don't have the sensitivities I do, I'm the only one I've heard say this isn't for eye use. And that's because I read the packaging. But anyway, I have sensitivities, and so I need to pay attention to those things. But this is still a gorgeous shade. Like, look at this. And so, yeah, but I cannot use that. So the look was just these 3 and these 2. Those 5 looks, 5 shades. And I did really like the look. And so that is this palette. I did the second look, which was very monochromatic, as I said. This one did add a really nice shine, a really nice pop in the center of the lid, because I did a halo spotlight cat eye type look. But this palette is really nice. I really enjoy it. I am going to roll back around to it. When I first get a palette, I run through it, use every shade at least once, sometimes twice. But I do want to get back to it to use all the shades again. So far, I've only used them all once. This was gifted to me from Notoriously Morbid. This is their Stone Cold Medusa palette. It does look deeper online, and it was just lighting, and I think they did that for you to see the shifts, because there's a lot of shifts in this palette. It is a gorgeous palette. I do really like all the looks that I did with it. These three here, these three shadows here, I used for the Margarita look for an open IG collab, and that look was bomb. But I do really like all the looks that I've done with this palette. I am thankful that they did send this to me. And so you see how the colors are changing depending on how the light hits it. You see what I'm saying? But these three down here, they show up really dark. And, well, on my lid they did, I say, because they don't look like they're that dark in the pictures. But, well, me holding it here in the pictures, it was dark. They had a dark background, dim light, and all of that. But some people were surprised, like, is that same palette? And I'm like, yeah. So I wish that they had did the promo pics in dim light with the dark background like they did, and also in daylight, so you can see the differences in how the shadows look. You know what I mean? But I am happy to have it. Notoriously Morbid's formula does work for me. They do have some palettes that are pressed pigments, and it will say the ones I get are the ones that say eyeshadow palettes, because it's an eyeshadow and not a pressed pigment. So I really do enjoy the brand. This, I used this last month. This was, no. How in the world did I do that? Martine Cosmetics 669 palette. Y'all already know how I feel about this if you've been here. So I ain't even gonna say nothing, because new to me, not new though, but new to me, Lethal Cosmetics Midnight Serenade palette. I did 3 looks with this and used every shade in here. I do like this palette. It's a softer version of the Jolena palette, but it is very pretty. There's a lot of shifty shades in here, and it is just like, wow. And so I am glad that I did end up getting it. I am going to use this some more. And Lethal's formula works for me as well. So are we going to tier these? We already know Martine is going to be top tier. Mothership number 1, excuse me, top tier. Even though I don't use it often, we're going to put Biba top tier, because this is just an amazing palette. I want to put most of this stuff top tier. Like, seriously. I'm putting the 3 Natasha Quince top tier, I think. Should we just do top and mid and not have a bottom? Something has to be in the middle. All right, I'm about to struggle now, because I want to put other stuff top tier, but I know everything can't be top tier. I'm going to put Yucca palette top tier. I think everything's going to be top tier. The Glam and Retro Glam top tier. These are just so easy for me to use. And I put together looks with like 3 or 4 shadows. And I was like, when do I do that? And everything just worked. And they're not messy. I think everything's going to be top tier. Midnight Serenade. We're going to put this top tier because it surprised me in a good way. Because I was thinking it was going to be lighter than I wanted it. This is more of a gothy palette because it is the lighter tones versus the messy grunge that I like. But I was pleasantly surprised. And I can say I really liked all the looks that I did. Okay, we're going to do some mid-tier. Everything else is going to be mid-tier. The Bronze Ecstasy Quint. Just mid-tier, just because these are kind of basic shades. That's the only reason. The formula is phenomenal. I love the creamy formula in her Quints. And that's why I did, decide to try it, as well as if I'm going to give one away, at least I can try it and have my own opinion of it. But it's really just basic. And so that's going to be mid-tier. Sparkle Storm, mid-tier just because. But these do work, and I do really actually love this palette. Like, everything can't be at the top, can it? Can it? High Five from MAC. This is a fun palette, but still mid-tier because how often am I going to pick this up? But then I put Biba top tier, and I don't use that often. But yeah, mid-tier for this because, excuse me, when I look at this, I have to think, what am I going to do with it? Versus Biba, whatever you do is going to look nice. Some of these other palettes, whatever you do is going to look nice. But this one I have to think, okay, what to do. So that's the only reason this is mid-tier. But every look I have done with it, I did really like. Lethal Cosmetics, this BYOP, we're going to put this bottom tier, believe it or not, only because I only took it because I wanted to use this shade. So I'm not ranking it on the whole palette because I only used these two shades, this one and this one. So it was just a specific purpose of taking this to use this specific shade. So that's the only reason it's bottom tier. But these shades are wonderful. They show up. The shimmers be shimming. And these colors for me are true to pan. And I really do like that. But only bottom tier only because I only took it for that one shade, which is frigging amazing. That shade Thorn is amazing. But because I didn't take it for the whole palette, I just took it for that. We're going to put, I know I just said good things about this Stone Cold Medusa palette. We're going to put this bottom tier only because the shadows, the shades are amazing. Not a lot of mess. They went on very well. They stayed on. And the shifty shades in here be shifting. I'm only going to put this bottom tier because it don't look like the pictures. So it was just like, But it is a beautiful palette. I do like all the looks that I did. It was just the initial thing of, what? And so that might not be a good reason to put it bottom tier, but that's why we're putting it bottom tier, because some people were really thrown off, and some people did message me like, is that same palette? Or they would send me a picture of the promo pic, and I'm like, yeah, that's the same one. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So that's the only reason it's bottom tier, is because it just... But it is a wonderful palette. Next time I use this, it'll probably be like at least mid-tier or top tier. And I know everything can't be at the top, so I'm just trying to space things out a little bit. I'm going to put the Nomad palette I'm going to put this bottom, and not because I don't really enjoy it, because I did, but because it's very easy to just see the green. And I've heard people say this is a green monochromatic palette. This is not a green monochromatic palette, because if it was, you wouldn't be able to do a tan coppery look, or some people did like a purple blue look. You wouldn't be able to do different types of looks other than green if this was a green monochromatic palette. This is not a green monochromatic palette. I do like all the looks I did. I think, I'm looking at it trying to remember. I think the last look I did, this one was my favorite, even though I did like the look with these two columns, because this showed up really nice for a spotlight look. And I did like the look I did with these two columns as well. And so it's only at the bottom because I think people will struggle with it. And the majority of the looks I've seen with it were monochromatic. It was either this shade, this one, that one, and these two, or these two shades with this shade and that shade, or it was the greens. And so I think a lot of people who are wired towards monochromatic looks will only do monochromatic looks with this. The look with these two was extremely monochromatic because it's all green. You have a tan and this deep shade here. But it did look like just varying shades of green and only the one shimmer. But I really do like the looks that I did. I do feel like there is variety in the palette. And if you look at that video, there is variety in this palette. I do have a playlist for every palette I'm showing you if you want to see what looks I did with these palettes. But this is only at the bottom because people struggle to not just see green monochromatic looks with it. And so that's the only reason. I've seen, as I said, the orange and bronze eyeshadow looks, the purple and blue eyeshadow looks, and the green eyeshadow looks. That's the only looks I've seen. And so me doing columns was to show you something different, minus, the monochromatic green look, which was the second look we did. And so that's the only reason it's at the bottom, is because I see the struggles that people have to do something that's not typical with this palette. So bottom tier, and not because I don't like the palettes or the formula, is the Nomad, Ireland palette, Lethal BYOP, and the Stone Cold Medusa, which is only because the promo pics were a little misleading. Mid-tier, Hi-Fi, Connecting Color from MAC, Sparkle Storm from MAC, and Bronze Ecstasy from Pat McGrath. Top tier, you already know, Martine Cosmetics 669 is always going to be top tier until it dies. Subliminal, Mothership #1, always going to be top tier regardless. I was surprised I put Biba top tier, but it is a wonderful palette. I just don't use it that often, but it is a solid palette if you just want neutral shades, or to use it as a companion palette, which some people use. For me, palettes aren't companion palettes or not companion palettes. They're just palettes, and I do tend to use a palette for what it is and not feel like, oh, I have to pull in other things. But that's just me and how I do my makeup. These three are top tier: Mini Star, Mini Pastel, and Mini Zendo. These are just gorgeous palettes, period. And we have, it's a lot of Natasha last month. Also, the Yucca palette or the Yucca palette. My Glam, Retro Glam palette, and Midnight Serenade from Lethal. So let me know what you think of this lineup. Are you surprised at any of these? Because I am surprised Biba is top tier, but it's just like a wonderful palette. And it's very dependable. That's another thing. Like, can I pick it up and use it and know it's going to look good without any fuss or mess? You know, that type of thing. And I'm lining these up so I can take my screenshot, which y'all know is always challenging. And I did drop a palette already, but thankfully it only fell in my lap. So where am I going to put this? I'm going to put that right here. So we're going to do our screenshot. So thank you for being with me to do this. And I think y'all might secretly like to see me struggle. So these are all of the palettes. We're going to do our screenshot. Here we go. Thank you for being here. Let me know what you think of my picks. Are you surprised at where I tiered them? If you have any of these palettes, let me know your thoughts on these palettes. And remember, I do have a playlist for all of these palettes if you want to see looks I've done with them. Yeah, let me know, are you surprised or not? And you will see me very soon. So as always, self-acceptance, self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.